The older lady has a worried look on her face. At the Jade Pavilion, Ailan explains to Gyokuyo and Maomao that the older lady asked her about the medicine as she tried to keep it a secret and apologized. Gyokuyo asked if she would get in trouble, but Ailan told her that the people at the clinic might take Maomao. Concerned for Maomao's safety, Gyokuyo sends Ailan to find Yinghua for her. The older lady, whose name is Shenlu, apologizes to Maomao because she didn't realize that she worked under a consort. Maomao explains that a consort is a title given to women like Gyokuyo. Shenlu humbly asks Maomao to make medicine for Lady Lihua's servant at the Crystal Pavilion, and Yinghua instantly objects, but Maomao interjects to let Shenlu finish. Shenlu explains that she saw her at the laundry and was sick and tried to help, but after a while the cough kept getting worse. Finally, she didn't show up to the laundry area anymore. Maomao suggested that she may need to get permission to come to the laundry area. Maomao then explains that the servant would need to get permission from the head attendant, and most likely her request would be ignored. Shenlu is extremely concerned, as it has been half a month since she saw her. Yinghua thinks the situation is troublesome, but Maomao thinks that it might be necessary to investigate. Maomao thinks that the strange cough might spread throughout the Crystal Pavilion and even on the outside. Yinghua tells Maomao to get permission first and don't rush ahead. Just then, Maomao spots a lizard and tries to catch it, but only ends up getting the tail, shocking Yinghua. Maomao thinks about making medicine to grow the tail, and Yinghua faints. Later at night, the servant girl is seen coughing up blood. At the Crystal Pavilion, Lady Shin stops a servant girl from carrying items to the shed and scolds her, telling her to mind her own business. Just then, Dr. Gwen arrives. He asks to speak to Lady Liwa, but is rejected until Maomao, who is disguised with makeup, makes Gwen show Shin the letter that Jinchi wrote. Shin, proud, tells Gwen that Lady Liwa is fine and doesn't need assistance. She then goes on to tell Gwen that everyone who works at the Crystal Pavilion deserves their spot in the Emperor's service. As Shin ponders about her statement, we are taken to a flashback with Lihua and Shin's guardian telling them that it is important for them to earn the Emperor's love. In the present, Maomao hears a strange noise catching her, Shin and Gwen off guard. Shin gets defensive as Gwen asks her what is in the shed. She tells him it's just for storage. Gen then asks if there was any gardening in the area, and she denies it, looking intently at the bushes. Just then, Maomao approaches and tells her she is wearing perfume today, shocking her. Maomao then apologizes for sniffing her clothes. As she is distracted, Gen rushes to the shed to see the servant girl in a critical state. Maomao then urges Gen to boil hot water immediately. As Maomao begins to treat her, Shin walks in the shed. Maomao questions Shin as to why she is treating her servants as such. Shin coldly explains that it is common to quarantine anyone that is sick. Maomao agrees with her, but tells her if she is left untreated, she will die. Showing her the bloody cloth, Maomao scolds her. Maomao is reminded of the last time she came to the Crystal Palace and Lihua was sick. Maomao tells Shin that she was burning incense to hide the smell of the sick, but Shin acts indifferent. Maomao tells her the opposite has happened, where she puts a sick person in the shed to hide the scent of incense. Maomao then discovers a box with banned oils from the caravan and claims that if they are mixed together, it can create an abortion drug. Later, Maomao takes off her disguise and is surprised that the investigation took a short time. She then thanks Gaoshen for waiting on her. Gaoshen tells her that she can't wear the clothes that she used to treat the sick. They then enter the room where Shin, Liwa, and Jinchi are. Shin is asked why she has confiscated items in her possession, as they are used to make poison. Maomao is surprised at her resilience. Maomao then explains that Shin is Liwa's cousin, who is the head lady in waiting and full of pride. Jinchi then asks what she was doing with the banned goods. She denies this, then tells him that she did have the servant in the shed to stop the sickness from spreading. She then claims she is innocent as she didn't know how the oils got in the shed because she never checks and tells him, are they going to believe the word of a feverish girl? Maomao then chimes in stating that Shin knew that she had a fever. Maomao explains that Shin does not wear perfume and still smells of incense. Maomao then picks up the oil that Shin smelled like shocking her. Maomao then goes up to her to smell her clothes and is scratched by Shin. Maomao says that she is out of order and Lady Lihua takes over. Lihua then asks Jinchi what her punishment would be, seeing as she tried to kill the child of the emperor. Lihua then reveals that she is expecting, shocking everyone. Maomao realizes this because her outfit is similar to Gyokuyo's. Maomao now understands why the ladies-in-waiting are prideful. It is because Shin selected them. Lihua then taunts Shin. Enraged, Shin compares her life to Lihua, explaining that she was always the selected one. Maomao then explains that Lihua has a bigger breast size than Shin. She also states that their names are comparisons for education and status. Emotionally, Shin continues to rage, then tries to throw a box of oils on Lihua, but is stopped by Gaoshun. Maomao then suggests to Shin that she loves status more than the emperor. This breaks her. Just then, Lihua slaps her, shocking everyone. Lihua then tells Jinchi that Shin verbally abused her and fires her from being head lady in waiting. Jinchi, shocked as Lihua tries to slap Shin again, stops her. Lihua then banned Shin from entering the palace, explaining that the humiliation would be enough for her. Later, Jinchi tells Maomao to take an expensive cloth to clean her wound. Maomao deflects, but Jinchi insists. Thinking she doesn't want to get the cloth dirty, Jinchi asks Maomao how she figured out the servant was in the shed. She pointed out that the garden bush's flowers are mostly red and are normally white, so someone must have planted them there. She then points out that the white seeds cause abortion, but are harmless unless you know how to make medicine. Maomao is curious as to how Shin knew how to make the poison. Jinchi is unsure, but asks Maomao if someone is spreading the information on how to make poison in the palace. However, she isn't sure and advises him to remain cautious. Just then, the servant girl inquired about the sick girl. Maomao tells her that she is getting the proper treatment and Lihua is paying for the treatment. Hearing this, she smiles. Later, Lihua is with the emperor pouring him a glass of wine.